Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Paradox Project. Today, we're diving into a real-world interaction that perfectly illustrates what happens when someone's perceived professional authority clashes with inconvenient truths. I call this the abusive spiral of the data analyst. It all started in a comment section on a shared post where I dropped a data-backed observation. Accountability isn't a gendered concept. I shared how behavioral research shows the infidelity gap is closing, with women in the 18 to 29 demographic actually being unfaithful at a rate of 11% compared to 10% for men. I also noted that female emotional infidelity is documented as high as 91.6%. My point was simple. Betrayal is a human issue, not a gendered one. Stage 1, the professional shield. Immediately, I was met with pushback from someone who identified themselves as a data analyst. Let's call him David. David's initial response wasn't to challenge the data. It was to tell me I needed some education about this page and the language used. He tried to redefine basic English, claiming men on that page didn't mean all men, but only cheaters. He even accused me of diminishing his field of expertise for pointing out his semantic games. Stage 2, personal interrogation. When the logical arguments failed, David moved to Stage 2, personal interrogation. He demanded my trauma receipts, asking if I'd been cheated on, or if I was a side piece. This is a classic gatekeeping tactic, trying to disqualify a person's facts based on their personal history. My history, of course, has no bearing on national infidelity statistics. Stage 3, the identity shield. But then came the ultimate deflection, the identity shield. David brought up his status as a gay man to claim he had a purpose for being on the page that I supposedly lacked. He tried to use his orientation as a moral high ground to dismiss objective data. But here's the paradox. Being gay doesn't change the 11% versus 10% infidelity stats. Using your identity to shield yourself from facts is the absolute opposite of the objectivity you claim to have as an analyst. Stage 4, clinical mislabeling and aggression. As the data became undeniable, we hit a critical point. David actually admitted my points were basic truths that no one has denied. An admission of factual defeat. But instead of conceding gracefully, he immediately pivoted to calling me full of myself and a narcissist. From there, the shield completely shattered. He dove headfirst into clinical mislabeling and aggressive dismissal, using terms like gaslighter, which he clearly didn't understand, and telling me to go the fuck away, or go to a Trump page. This is what happens when someone resorts to intimidation and amateur psychology to control a narrative. Stage 5, the intellectual exit. His final act before blocking me was the intellectual exit. He tried to dismiss everything as strawman statements and suggested I take a class on rhetorical debating, completely ignoring that he was the one using every logical fallacy in the book. It was a last-ditch effort to claim superiority, after he'd abandoned all objective reasoning. The takeaway: David thought by blocking me he was getting the last word and erasing the conversation. What he didn't know was that I had every single one of his comments documented. These screenshots are the receipts. They are the proof that when personal bias is challenged by data, and that professional shield crumbles, people often resort to toxic behavior. So, what's the takeaway? Don't let perceived authority or aggressive language silence you. When you have the data, stand your ground. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let someone unravel. Capture the evidence and turn their breakdown into a lesson. Their abusive spiral is your proof.